Welcome back to Brew Biz Chats, where we shine the Espresso Spotlight on Aussie business owners doing meaningful, purpose-driven work and the stories behind how they got there. In this episode, I'm joined by the incredible Alyson Richelle, a woman who is all about helping people navigate one of life's most challenging transitions, separation and divorce, including when it involves disability, trauma, or abuse. Through her compassionate coaching and practical support, Alyson walks beside her clients before, during, and after separation, helping them find their footing again, rebuilding confidence, and creating a new version of life that feels safe, aligned, and free. Her mission is deeply personal and profoundly empowering, helping people not just survive the storm, but come out the other side stronger, clearer, and ready to live their best life. Today, we'll explore Alyson's journey, her heart behind her work, and how she helps others find healing and hope when the path forward feels uncertain. So grab your coffee, take a deep breath, and join me for this heartfelt and powerful conversation in episode 7 of Brew Biz Chats. Hello, Alyson. How's it going?
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. I think we've already had that brief chat, but it's wonderful to have you on here because what you do is truly inspirational. And I think when I first met you, it would have been 5 months ago now on the random Zoom call. And I just went, what you do and your background history, it has to be shared and known about. So I guess that starts off the real first question of can you share a bit about yourself and your personal journey and what led you to create your business?
So I guess I'm Alyson Richelle. Simple, I guess, everyday life. I'm that mum of 3 neurodivergent kids, but my background was very much, I did 15 years policing, so the tough yards, wanting to be able to help people make a difference, and then left that diagnosed with complex PTSD, which for many first responders is part and parcel of the occupation. Like a lot of people dismiss it, but anyone you talk to who know anyone in the emergency services is going to walk away with PTSD. I guess it's like everything, it's the degree of it. So back in 2014, was diagnosed with the PTSD, or it was a few years before, but medically discharged from the police. So life got turned upside down. And then as it does, you sort of plod along as best you can. And then ins and outs, you learn things along the way. And then more recently realised I was in another domestic violence, coercive, controlling relationship and wasn't being heard, wasn't being seen, had documents, had videos, had the perpetrator admitting to stalking me, and I was told I was the problem. So that's where it all really changed, that it was, hang on, I'm doing everything you've told me to. You've told me to report every incident. You've told me, like, I have a protection order in place with fairly strict conditions. You're telling me if it's breached, ring up and report it. So this did mean for many months, I was reporting 4 to 5 incidents a week. So that's 4 to 5 contacts with police, and then being told that I was the problem. So I wanted answers. I was like, I've got everything here, my background of policing, I can investigate. I knew how to put briefs together, like I'd worked in sex crime squads, child protection. So I had actually helped investigate fairly serious matters and put briefs together before courts where we had got convictions. So I guess I went in and I had a little bit more information than most people to ask, why was nothing happening? 3 hours it took me before I sort of didn't get anywhere, and they finally agreed to go, all right, we'll help you get his property removed from where you are so that we can draw a line in the sand and there has to be no contact. And it had me really sit there and go, like, if I didn't have my background, I would have been railroaded by the police. I would have still probably been here in October, pretty much a year to the day when it all started, arguing and wondering what had happened. And it was like, well, what are they not telling us? There's so much that we don't know. And that's where what they don't tell you came from. It was like, well, I know this, but what are they not telling us? And wanting to be able to share, I guess, my lived experience from both being in the police, so working and enforcing the laws and crimes, working in domestic violence quite often, but then also being on the other side as a victim, and later learning that basically domestic violence had been basically my entire life, like through childhood, through family, in a long-term relationship with the kid's dad, and into this more recent relationship. But I guess the biggest lesson I learned was it's not what we're told. It wasn't physical violence. Like we're so often like everything is domestic abuse, and abuse we think of it is so physical. but it was the more subtle, the coercive control, the manipulation, the gaslighting, all the things I guess we didn't have names for that we're starting to have names for, and realizing that, hang on, I had no idea. And then the more I did it, so many people were like, but I'm not in an abusive relationship. He doesn't hit me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we argue, we do this. And then it was like, hang on, we're not taught these things. We're not taught where is I guess, a healthy argument and where are healthy relationships. And when does it turn from, I guess, being a healthy everyday relationship where we problem solve, work together, to bordering on the abuse. And that's where it all really expanded from, to go, we really need to change what's happening to help us now, but more importantly, to help our kids, to help our grandkids, to help break these generational cycles that have been going for years that no one's known about.
Oh, definitely. I think, and that's, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, it's, everyone sees it as domestic, abuse, like physically someone has to lay a hand. And we now know that there's so many other coercive control things that can happen, like money, like restricting friends, blocking down things that happen behind the doors, that it may not be physical, but it can definitely be emotional abuse and all those other areas, which I know you can reel off the names straight away. I'm drawing a blank, but that's where it's so important what you do, is that the conversations you have with people, you start to realize, going, well, actually, that's not a healthy relationship. You shouldn't be in that relationship. You need to put yourself first. And that's, again, why I believe in what you do is so amazing. And I know you've just said, like, you've been through it yourself. So obviously that experience behind what you do ran from personal experience, as well as, the legal structure behind it, the law side of things, of how to, you said, I mean, going to a cop station, you yourself was there for multiple hours just to get answers, and you knew the system. What about someone who doesn't? So I guess that shows whether, Lisa, next one, like, your business, what you do, and I say your business, but really it's what you do, supports people through incredibly vulnerable times. So I guess, what's the heart of what you do? So how do you help clients find that clarity, the strength, and navigate their way through what they're going through? How do you first start it with what you do?
I guess it's so different, and this is where it's really hard, because it's such a unique situation to everyone. Like, there's no cookie cutout that it can apply to everyone. So it usually starts with a conversation. Like, I've been haven't been as active lately, but I will share different, like, sort of examples and scenarios. And a lot of time people go, oh, hang on, that sounds like me. And then that will open the door to a conversation. And then someone will say, look, I don't think I am in a relationship. This is what's going on. Can you give me some advice? And we start the conversations about what's happening. And then it's not just a one-off incident we're looking for. It's usually we're looking for the patterns, because things will happen across multiple areas. So as you said before, there can be financial control. So limiting what you can spend your money on, where your wages go, what you can do, limiting family, friends, connections, so you can see, going as far as what you can wear, when you can leave. So we look at how it actually impacts you across your life. And again, ultimately, are you having to change the way you live because of what's going on? Like, if you can still go out and do most things you want, it's probably a one-off healthy relationship. But quite often, it's very much like the frog in the pot situation. So explaining it to people like that, it's not that something that happens suddenly, which is why it is so hard to understand what's happened. And we feel so much guilt and shame about it, because it's like, many people are educated, they've got backgrounds, I think, but I should have seen it. It doesn't happen suddenly. And I guess this is where I'm so passionate sharing my story. I was a senior sergeant. Yes, I was only young when I achieved that rank, but I was working in the system. I was in courts. I was dealing with domestic abuse, domestic violence, pretty much on a daily basis. And I didn't know I was living it, because it happens so quick, so slowly. I mean, it's not a quick process. It's a little incident at a time, and it starts to erode your confidence, your belief in yourself, your doubt. So then eventually when something happens, you sort of, but I didn't do that. And your reality's turned around against you. And that's where it's really hard, because you really question yourself. So one of the first steps is, it's a very gentle, and it is a very slow process, because we need to start with that recognition that it's not something that we've done personally to attract it, but it's something that's accumulated over time. So once we get that awareness, hang on, I haven't done anything wrong, we can then start to go, well, what are the patterns happening? What do we want to change? And then we look at, all right, well, and one of my real big things is safety. And there is so much that happens after the fact when violence has happened, police are involved, charges happen, but there's nothing before the fact. So what's going on? How can we help people? And again, this happens to both male and females. Yes, females are more often the victim than perpetrator, but it does happen to both. How do we start putting plans in place and structures in place so that you can have a safety plan in place, an exit strategy before things escalate? So I guess it's giving you that backup so you've got options. And it's not saying that everyone needs to walk away from a relationship. It's not saying that everyone should stay, because it definitely takes two people. Every relationship, there is two people, and we've all got a part in it. And people don't like going, but it takes two of us. There's so much on the victim should do this all the time. But hang on. If we can help a perpetrator identify what they're doing, they may be able to change as well. And then we have a greater effect and a greater change. So it's that education and awareness for everyone to go, well, maybe you yelling at your wife or partner. And again, it happens in same-sex marriages as well, which a lot of people forget. So this is not a one-size-fits-all traditional relationship. It happens to everyone, but it's all ages, all genders, all cultures. It's global. So it's really starting to break down those conversations and go, well, where are you at? What do you need at the moment? Are you safe? And then if there's children involved, that's a whole other complication. And not in a bad way, because we're not just focusing on ourselves. And a lot of people don't want to have to break up a relationship they might have had separated as kids, and they're like, well, I'll stay for the kids. But the research and study is actually showing it's actually more harmful to stay for the kids, because they see what's going on, they feel the emotions, they know it. Sometimes we have to draw that line in the sand and go, I need to prioritize me. And I guess this is very much what it's about, is we've got to get to the point that it's okay to choose us. It's okay to choose our safety. And how do we put that in place? And if that means working on a relationship, great. If it means that we've got to walk our own way, great. But we have to start honouring ourselves more rather than doing everything for someone else. But more so, as much as we want someone to change, we can't make them change unless they want to.
Correct. And it's interesting because a lot, as you said, you also help the person who might be causing the problem or causing the pain, and they may not be knowing that they're doing it, or knowing or aware, because I think one thing that comes down to it is you don't know, society says, for, back in the olden days where, the male might be bringing something and the wife's got to look after the kids, or, how we are all grown up and how it's ingrained in you as you go. Things are seem like that's the norm and we just must accept it. But as things change and society changes, it's really, you shouldn't be accepting those sorts of things. And that's what, I guess, where you starting that conversation and at least seeing where it is, it's like, because they're so used to the environment, they're so used to be treated like this is how it is, and people don't see another way to be treated differently because that's what they've grown up on, or that's what was the societal norms were. It's realizing that what is happening is it could be abuse in different manners, whether it's not physical, it's all other, verbal abuse and the financial abuse, and it's all just, I guess, yeah, trying to start that conversation. As you said, nail on the head, start a conversation about, is it actually correct, or is it something that you're worried about, and also showing that there's a path out of it if you need it. And that's where I love seeing that there's actually one thing that you touched on is, especially the kids part, is that when you've got kids involved, people don't see that they want to leave, or they don't think there's any other way, because they need the house over their head, the roof over their head, and the security. But having those conversations and realizing that they shouldn't be treated the way they are. And so I guess that's where it goes to the next one. Like, obviously you start that conversation and it's before they might have even made a decision. But you've mentioned you support them through before, during, and after the major transitions that someone might go through. Can you talk us through, like, from that conversation, how it would then work through those stages of your support?
Yeah, so I guess before is very much, it's that nurturing. It's helping them understand what has happened, why it's happened, and what options there are for change. So once we've got that awareness and education, we can start making choices. And usually the choice is, I want to work on the relationship, both parties are wanting. So then it's engaging, and I'm not a counsellor, so usually connecting them with trauma-informed counsellors so they can both get independent counselling, connecting them with programs where they can both work together and get change. Or if one party is well and truly, I've done nothing wrong and safety is needed and a separation is the path, it's looking at what separation looks like. So do you need to navigate family court? Do you need to navigate financial settlement? Parenting orders for kids? Is there safety concerns? Do we need to look at protection orders? So working through all those things, and then what financial support is available. And again, this doesn't have to be necessarily an abusive relationship, because whenever we leave any sort of relationship, even if there is no trauma or abuse, we are still so uncertain. And many of us have still got separation for financials that we still need to consider. A lot of us have still got, if there's kids, parenting. So even if there is no abuse, we've still got this same sort of hurdle. Obviously, disabilities and abuse add an extra level to it. And that's, I guess, where my lived experience really comes into, because I am a neurodivergent disability household. And everyone goes, but no, you're not, because it's very much that hidden disability. So I really get that just because you don't look disabled, that there's more going on before that we see. So it's helping really understand what our options are. Let's put a plan in place. What do we need? And it's not usually just a short-term plan. It's, right, what do we need to leave safely? Where are we looking at going? What's our community support? Helping people actually build and connect with those supports. And I'm really grateful that I do have connections Australia-wide and very much globally to be able to help people that if they're stuck, if I can help do certain things, but I've got those connections to be able to go, here's a counsellor. And again, here's an accountant. Here's the people we need. Here's a good lawyer. Helping them build that team that is trusted, has the knowledge, rather than having to do it themselves. And then once we're in that safe space, again, it's helping them to be empowered, to grow, to really find that inner voice, their wishes, their desires, to help them build that life that they really want to live. And quite often, if there's kids involved in any sort of separations, it doesn't end on the day you leave. Like, people go, just leave. It's not as easy as that, because usually there are so many worries and concerns. You've got financial concerns. As you said, how am I going to keep a roof over my head? There's usually financial control. No one's going to want you. You're a single mum with 3 kids. So there's so much that has happened prior to that that we're living with. So it's starting to put strategies in place and community. And I've developed a number of blueprints, guides, and the different group coaching that to be able to help people at different stages of their journeys. And as I said, it's very much about helping build that nurturing community where you're feeling safe, where you're understood. And if people go, but you help both men and women, how does that work? There are obviously some free groups where there's both, but oftentimes we do segregate, because the needs of a male are very different to the needs of a female at time. But there is an overlap, especially if they're parents. And again, there's the needs, if you're a perpetrator, whether or not it's male or female, your needs and support is different to that of a victim. So, and then if there's no violence. So again, there is the communal resources, but then it's also very adaptable to everyone's individual situations, because no one person is the same. And that's what I like about what I'm doing. It's like, it's very much tailored to the individual person, their circumstances, what they need and where they're going.
Yeah, no, definitely. And the fact that, yeah, as you said, it's just anyone who's looking to separate or going through divorce. It's not, there might be nothing completely wrong. The marriage just, there might be simply that the love's not there and they decide that they need to go their separate ways. But even just the challenges that will be faced to do that, or getting the confidence to do that, because, as go back to society, is, 20 years ago, it was probably frowned upon to leave your marriage. Now it's a lot more flexible, but still having the courage. And I know friends that have separated, and it wasn't till another friend had separated that they actually saw, well, maybe they can separate. Actually, maybe that is actually an option. Maybe they're not actually happy in their relationship, and they can separate. It is now an okay thing to do. Like, it's perfectly acceptable to do that, and it's perfectly fine. But just navigating those challenges, especially if you add kids in there, is definitely something that I love that you are able to do and help someone navigate through those emotional challenges and just practical things that they can put into place. So I know that you've sort of touched about how you even tailor your approach. You've got your males, your females, you might have neurodivergency, you might have disabilities here, and you tailor your approach very differently because everyone is different in every single circumstance. I guess, what's one thing that you wish more people understood about supporting someone going through these circumstances?
I guess for someone supporting someone who's going through it, don't apportion blame. Just believe them. Like, if someone came and told you a happy story, I've been to the beach, I've had so much fun, we trust them, we believe them. But why as a society, if someone says, I've been abused, this is going on behind closed doors, we start to interrogate, we start to judge, oh, that couldn't happen. So we really need to change that if someone is sharing a story, whether or not it's good, bad, or ugly, it's usually the truth. Yes, we do have pathological liars and people who do like to make up stories, but generally people don't say something's happened to them if it hasn't happened. Like if they're at
Mm,
the point they're ready to share, that's come a long way. So we need to really start supporting people more and believing them and just being that ear. Right, how can I support you? Would you like me just to be that ear? What would you like me to do? If you need help, how can I help you? So it's really being that non-judgmental, but this couldn't have happened. It's how can I support you? Thank you for trusting me. I'm here for you. You let me know what I need to do. Because you need to give them back a little bit of control, a little bit of power to go, I hear you, I see you, I believe you. I'm here to do what you need. Because usually they've been silenced, they've been suppressed, they haven't had a voice. Oh, the best part. And this is why the beautiful kids, giving them the cuddles, giving them the love, letting them know that you're here. Oh, you want big cuddles, do you?
he must have heard the
Oh,
question, really. I mean, the question was, how do you support someone? And that's exactly it. Give them a hug, listen to them,
yep,
hear them, and see them, and give them the big hug to
exactly.
joy it.
And it's very much asking them what they need. Like some people do not want to be touched. So
Mm,
don't automatically assume someone wants to be touched. Don't make any assumptions, I guess, is the big thing. Ask
yeah.
them what they need. If you don't know, can we research together? Who do I know that can help? Actually put things in place to give them that support. So I guess they're starting to have choice. Because once we know, we get to make choice. If we don't know, we don't know. So it's more about that education, the awareness, so we can go, all right, we've got a choice to make. What do I choose?
Yeah, exactly. No, that is fantastic. And so you help clients rebuild not just their life, but I get their sense of self. So the sense of who they are. And what are some of the ways that you guide them through that to rediscover who they are after the hardship? I mean, they've probably changed in their marriage, or relationship, and now they have to rediscover themselves. So how do you help guide them through that? Because it'll be a
So
challenging time for anyone.
it is. And we look at, even without any abuse, separation, or trauma, like we look at our life, we change, we adapt to our environment and our circumstances. So it's very much it's gentle coaching. It's starting to look at our values, our beliefs, our ideals, who we used to be, what we want, and really starting piece together all the parts of us. And this is where I'm really lucky. I've got some amazing supports and networks that can help. Like in terms of we look at things that work around our biology, like our human design, and numerology, astrology, all these different things. Like it's not a tick box that we must do this or whatever, but it helps us start to put those pieces back together that are subconscious, that are our innate nature, that get changed by our circumstances to help people go, all right, this is how I need to feel more grounded. This is how I can make decisions. And once we start getting back to those inner roots and beliefs, we can start to rebuild. Because if you're always forced to make decisions really roughly and really quickly, but your innate nature is I need to stop and pause, which is very much me. I need to stop, give myself 24 hours before I make any decision. Otherwise, you usually make the wrong one. So starting to learn that because it used to be you've got to make a decision now on the spot. So you're not
Mm,
able to actually process things properly. But then there are other people who need to be able to make that decision snap. And if that's the person, allowing them to do that, but it's understanding the way we do respond, the way we do react, what our cues are, how we interpret things. So it's putting all that together to really be able to understand this is who you are. You're that unique individual. This is who you were when you were born. This is who you've been because of the circumstances. This is who you can still become, and then put it all together. Because our past isn't always going to be our past, but how do we start using that past to create a future that we want? What tools and skills do we need that we might not have had? What did help us in stressful situations? So it's starting to incorporate all that and build the toolkit, build the basket, and use the skills, resources that are around us to be able to understand more.
yeah, exactly. And as you said, everyone is completely different, so they need to know their own different skills, and but you being able to adapt that for each individual person and just work with it through them to help rediscover themselves is going to be very handy because everyone is not the same. And I mean, we might have similar traits on various things, and you might be able to bring them all together, but they're not. It's not just a cookie cutter situation. You don't just go and get a guide and follow this guide. Parenting is not a guide. I mean, it's just a go and work out what works for you, for example. um, so I guess obviously running this type of business for yourself, You deal with really personal, emotional issues that would take a lot of heart and strength. And I put my hands down to you with going through all that. But how on the business side and looking after yourself, how do you care for yourself while you're supporting others? Because obviously, I think you've touched on a little bit, but I'd like to hear like how do you care, make sure that you're looking after yourself in all these emotional situations?
So it is hard, and I do often it's still a learning tool for me. And I guess this is what I want people to know. There's no one size fits all. It's not going to be better one day. You're going to have your ups and downs of life in a roller cycle. So for me, it can be the same. But I guess I've got my friends that I reach out to. I've got professional support. So I've got psychologists and counselors that I reach out to. So again, it's tapping into supports around me, like professional therapists I need, starting to learn more about myself, my tools. Holidays and new adventures are something I really enjoy. So trying to make more time for that. Getting out in nature. Like I'm really lucky we live on acreage. So being able to go for a walk down to the dam and water and just be still. So it's always a work in progress. Like some days you give more than others, and it's really about starting to listen to yourself and honor yourself. Like if you need to rest, really rest. And I do that a lot more, whereas before it used to be, no, I've got to push on. Everyone needs me. If I stop, everything's going to crumble. But it's like the plane. Put your own oxygen mask on first. And that saying always comes to my head when things are happening. Your own oxygen mask has got to go on for yourself. Otherwise, you can't help anyone else. If I don't look after me, I can't look after my kids. I can't support anyone. So it's starting to put more tools in place. And again, it's a learning. There are going to be ups and downs in life, and I certainly still have it. So I guess that's a cue for anyone. Be gentle on yourself because you're never going to get it right. Even when we do have a toolkit, which I've got, sometimes I forget about it because I do get stuck in the moment. I do get overwhelmed. But it's remembering to go, all right, stop and breathe. All right, what do I need to do today? And very much trying to live and focus in the moment. Where am I now? What do I need now? Rather than trying to be too far in the past or too far in the future. And I'm not saying don't have a dream, don't have a future, but we can't always live in the future and the uncertainty. We can't always live in the past. We really need to appreciate and ground in this is where I am. I've got this moment. Let's appreciate it, enjoy it, what's around me.
I 100% agree. And being a business owner and you want to service all your clients, you want to give back to them every moment of the day, but knowing when you need to listen to yourself and go, you know what? I actually need to be on the couch and I need to be doing nothing or I need to be in bed because if I take on too much, then I'm not putting the oxygen mask on myself. I'm giving it to everyone else first and I'm going to crumble. So
Yep.
I love that plain one. So thank you. I'm going to use that in my own head now. So you're giving me my own tool one to remind myself. But as business owners, it's really, and especially in the work that you do, but in any business owner needs to remember that they need to put their own oxygen mask on themselves and get the cuddles when they need them.
Oh, definitely. Cuddles definitely help, but not everyone
Yes.
likes cuddles at home.
No, but at least he does. At least
Oh,
you can get that. Um, so go to as a business, you're running a business. I just want to ask, so what's the most rewarding part of watching a client's transform? Have you had a really good story that you've seen with a client that, I mean, obviously not giving names, but or anything like that, but do you have any examples that you might say of a client's transformation?
I guess the biggest joy I get is seeing someone have absolutely that no hope, feeling like they're lost, that it's all their fault, that they've deliberately done it, and going, okay, like I've had a part to play because we're in a relationship, but it's not me. Someone believes me. I'm not continually being gaslit. I'm not continually being put down. That it's just that small, oh my gosh, there are others like me. It's not all me. And it's very much that small, the first realization that's like, hang on, I don't need to keep worrying about this because quite often there might be threats or whatever else, and they're going, but he's going to lock me up. A police going to come on my door now because they might have been told they're going to be charged. It's like, hang on, this is what the law is actually doing. This is actually what's happening. It's not just as simple as he said you're going to get charged that you get charged or this. So it's really having them that spark and the change of, I guess that's real awareness. Once they start to see it and the pattern, they go, oh, okay, I'm not crazy. I'm not alone. This
Mm,
has really happened. So they're probably the real joy moments to go, all right, because I know for me, that was huge for me as well.
Yeah, no, exactly. Having that moment and just seeing someone really go, actually, there's a path. There is a path
Yep.
that I can follow now that can help me out of this, and seeing that path. So
Yep.
seeing that
Having
client
that hope.
transform into that. Yeah. And it can see a different light on them to shine that light through for them. So I guess now what's next for your business? Do you have any new services or collaborations or any talks coming up that we should be aware of that we should jump online and or jump in and listen to? Any
So there's a few
events?
podcasts that will be coming out soon, but I guess I've got two fairly big events. Like the Stop DV conference in Brisbane is coming up at end of November, so I've got now a presentation there. But for those, I guess, who are more local to Bribie Island, Queensland area, there is a big event with the minister and our local member where I'll be talking on a panel. But again, it's trying to connect. And my big passion is really being able to make a difference in the space. So offering the expert witness services. So connecting with lawyers, law firms to helping be able to put and to present the timelines to a court in an expert witness manner. So it helps collate all the evidence. So it's not just sort of he said, she said. It's getting someone completely independent to review what's happened in your matter and present it. Is it coercive control? Is it this, to really be able to help? So that's probably where I'm focusing on as well, is because that's going to start making big changes. And that's what we want. We want big changes. We want the reforms to happen in our criminal systems. We need something that's more unified across Australia. Because at the moment, not every state even recognise the offence of coercive control. Like we're in one
Okay.
country, every state has different
Has
laws
different
about
laws.
domestic violence, abuse, protection orders. The standards are so different. So it's about how do we try and bring everything together more unified to actually be able to provide the support that is needed for everyone, because it's not a state by state issue. It's not a town by town issue. It's Australia wide issue. It is a global issue. So we need to be more unified.
It is pretty amazing that whilst we are one country, we have different states and annoyingly different state laws. Which if they could just marry them all up, that would be really nice. But they don't. So, and having to work through that, navigating yourself through all of that and understanding the different states' laws, is a special talent on its own. So I guess, could you provide some words of wisdom? Let's finish this off with some hopeful words of wisdom. If you've got someone listening today who might be feeling that they are in that difficult relationship, or facing separation, or just feeling stuck, what would your first step that you'd like to encourage them to take today?
I guess the first step is that you're not broken. There is nothing wrong with you. That's probably the first step, that you're exactly where you're meant to be in this moment. What's happening is really going to hurt, but it's not going to always be like this. With the right tools, the right support, we can start climbing that ladder out of there. There is hope at the end of it, at the end.
Yeah, fantastic. And for your fellow business owners supporting others through tough seasons, what advice would you give them about staying grounded and resilient through
So
everything?
I guess for business owners, again, it's the same. It's you've got to take the time for ourselves. We've all got to start, and not in a selfish way. We've got to start prioritizing ourselves. Like we all give so much to everyone. It's starting to go, all right, I am worthy of time for me. My children are worthy of time for me. My partner's worthy of time for me. Everyone is worthy of time for me. And then that can then build. But if we don't take time for ourselves, regardless of who we are, what age we are, we're going to start to crumble and burn out, because there's only one person who's going to really look after us and can do what we need for us.
And we need to put on that mask first.
Yes, definitely. Put on your mask first. It's
Put on
okay
your
to do
mask
it.
first. Exactly. So I just want to thank you, because honestly, your business and what you do for people with such heart behind it, it's an important reminder that even in life's hardest chapters, through separation or divorce, there's always a way forward. And it begins with support, compassion, and clarity, and really just opening that conversation up and starting it initially. So I just want to say how much I love what you bring to both personally understanding and professional strength, to what you do. Walking alongside your clients, and not just through the crisis, but helping them rebuild helping them rediscover confidence, peace in their lives, and really the purpose on the other side. So what stood out for me with this conversation was really how you just go beyond the advice and really try to help empower your clients, giving them the tools that they need to take back control, to heal and start living life the way they truly deserve. So I want to say a huge thank you to you, Alyson. So thank you very much for sharing your story and your insight with Heart today. And if you'd like to connect with Alyson or learn more about her work, you'll find the links below the description. And if this episode resonated with you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to stay tuned for more inspiring Brew and Biz Chats, where we continue to spotlight Aussie founders doing business with heart and purpose. Thanks for joining me, and take care of yourself, and I'll see you on the next episode. Thank you, Alyson.
Thank you so much.